Happy January, you guys. We made it to a new year. And so I thought, what better way to start 2023 than just having a life chat? We're talking about money, life, kids, money. In this video, we're gonna be sitting down and doing a quick chit chat together. So get your coffee, get your tea, whatever your vice is, and join me in this little chit chat sesh. Okay, so first of all, I love doing these kind of sit down chit chats. I've seen them on other YouTube channels and I love watching them while I'm getting ready or cleaning the house. And so getting the feedback from you that you really love these videos is like awesome. Let's just keep doing it. So I got a couple of questions here that I'm going to answer today. Number one, want to discuss finances as a couple more with my fiance. How do I start? Debts included. Well, one of the ways that I like to start a financial conversation when I'm just getting into a serious relationship is talking about my own viewpoints of money and my own financial situation. When you're talking about something like money or your finances, people tend to feel very vulnerable. So they can either talk about money with a sense of pride or they can talk about it with some embarrassment, depending on what their financial situation is. So whatever you are going to bring to the table, know that in return, you are going to potentially hear some things that make that person feel really vulnerable. So it's important to listen a ton and also accept those stories or those facts that they may be presenting to you without judgment. I have a video up here in the cards that you'll definitely want to check out in terms of how to get your significant other on board financially. And so talk about how you feel about debt. Is it important for you to pay off debt really quickly? Are you a stickler about credit cards? Is that something that you definitely have to have in your life? Or is it something that you're okay not introducing as a couple? How about blending checking and savings accounts? What does that look like when the two of you as a team combine income so that you can produce and achieve financial goals much faster? Those are some things that I would definitely bring to the table, is just start with your own ideas about money and finances and say, hey, I want to share something that may be a little sensitive to talk about, but it's important that I tell you everything about how I'm feeling about money. And I guarantee you're going to get them to perk up their ears and say, what? And start that conversation. 2, wife and I just got through first trimester. Hooray! Any money tips for baby or unexpected costs? Okay, so one thing that Kyle and I did that really helped us is we set up a baby sinking fund right after we found out that we were expecting a baby. And so we could put $100 per month into the sinking fund, or any baby shower money that came our way, Christmas money, we could put into a baby sinking fund. So this is a separate savings account that we built up over time and then that we pull from whenever we have needs to purchase things for Quinn. In fact, that account still has over $1,000 in it because we've just been able to just be really strategic about things that come into our life, such as like free strollers, free high chairs, taking advantage of that. And then also realizing, okay, when they're newborns, they really don't need much other than like diapers, formula, a place to sleep, and maybe a couple of onesies, but they really don't need like toys or anything like that. As she's gotten older, we are purchasing bigger sized clothes, and so that account has served us well. Highly recommend that for a money tip for a baby. Unexpected costs for us was formula. So Quinn, I pumped for about 12 weeks and then was like, I can't do this anymore. Breastfeeding was not working out for us, and so we switched to formula after that. And formula is expensive. I think the kind that we used was around $45 per box. And I think one box lasted us 2 weeks, probably 2 weeks. So that was totally unexpected for us. Medical bills is also kind of an unexpected thing because Quinn was diagnosed with hip dysplasia at birth, and then we also medically treated a strawberry hemangioma, a birthmark on her back that like started to spread. Those things were unexpected to us. So I definitely feel that building up a health savings account or building up extra money for medical expenses could really serve you well. You could also roll that into your baby sinking fund. 3, how much money do you recommend having before trying to have children? Listen to me on this one. There is no amount of money that I could recommend that you have before starting to have children. Having children and having a baby is such a personal choice that has a lifelong impact. This is an interesting question because there would be scenarios where I would say, really think long and hard about the decision to have a baby, such as, if you had 6 figures in debt, you were living below the poverty line, and you struggled to even meet your own basic living needs. Imagine bringing a baby into that type of environment. Is that the kind of love and care that you would want a baby to be brought into? There are scenarios in which there's an unexpected pregnancy that happens and a baby would be brought into that environment. But I think for this question here, we're talking about pre-planning that, right? This is like a pre-plan. How much money do you recommend before having children? We're already thinking about this. We aren't actually pregnant. There's also the scenario of I'm in a serious relationship. I'm in a stable career. I have debt, but I have a debt payoff plan. And I'm thinking about having a baby. I'm thinking about this is the right time for me in my life to do that. Here's where I would say, okay, yeah, even if you have debt, let me tell you this, even if you have debt, you can absolutely still have a baby. Just know that it is going to take you a lot longer to pay off that debt, mainly because babies come with their own expenses. And so you're going to have to address those immediate baby expense needs first before you really put extra strides and extra income towards that debt. Number 4, what baby step are you on? We are not on the baby steps. We do not follow Dave Ramsey's baby step, but we are completely debt free and we are working on building up a massive down payment for our first home purchase. Right now, we have been saving for, I think, 5 years and we have just over $150,000 saved. Number 5, how much is daycare on a weekly basis? At our local daycare, it is $507 per week. That includes diapers, wipes, breakfast, lunch, snack, and milk. This daycare actually provides a ton of amenities, if you will, as part of their tuition costs. And keep in mind, this is for the Los Angeles County area. Number 6, do you have a basic retirement investment video? I'm going to link to my Invest Like a Millennial playlist series, and I have basic videos covering things like 101s of a stock explained, a SEP IRA, a 529 college savings plan, a 401k, all of these different vehicles that can help you achieve either financial independence or really passing on a legacy to loved ones is all included in that playlist, and you'll definitely want to check it out. Number 7, how much does it actually cost to have a baby? Okay, here's another one where you definitely want to check out. I'll link to the video up here in the cards, how much my birth cost to have a baby in San Diego in a hospital. I actually was in a birthing center in a hospital, so it's kind of cool. Basically, the difference between a birthing center and a traditional labor and delivery room is a birthing center typically has a larger bed. It's got a giant soaker tub, and they do not have anesthesiologists come by and offer epidurals. They don't do any kind of major medical interventions like that in most cases. It's more natural, unmedicated births. So, but it was expensive. It was very expensive. 8, how should you calculate how much house you can afford with utilities, etc.? Okay. So the way that I like to look at it, this really does depend on location. Higher cost of living areas like Los Angeles or the Bay Area, you're obviously going to have to put way more percentage of your income towards your rent or your mortgage payment. But most of us are going to fall between 25 to 35% of your take-home pay towards that housing cost, with most of us aiming around 30% of our take-home pay going towards a mortgage payment. Now, utilities, I hesitate to answer that because utilities are going to fluctuate. In an area like LA, you're really not hardly using AC and definitely not heat during those like winter and summer months. But if you're in a place like the Midwest, you're really going to be using up a lot of energy towards heating and air. So the utilities can really fluctuate. But again, I would focus on that 30% and then everything's going to kind of fall into place after that. 9, how will I know I'm ready to buy a house? I really want to respond to you from that scene from Onward where he's driving the car and he needs to merge on the highway and he's like, I can't do it. And his brother's like, yes, you can. He's like, I'm not ready to merge. Merge. You'll never be ready. You'll never be ready to buy a house, much like you're never going to be ready to have a baby. You can do a lot of prep work specifically for buying a home though. You can work on building up that down payment. You can work on building up savings for like a house maintenance or home decor savings fund. You can work on those things, but I think there's a lot of unforeseen expenses that could happen with home ownership. You get in and 2 years later, you may need to do a major roof repair, or maybe your basement gets flooded, or maybe the washing machine goes out. You have to be prepared for those expenses. Okay, 10, downsizing to an RV and renting out current home to pay off debt, good or bad idea? I don't know your situation, such as how much debt you have, and truly is the RV van lifestyle something that you could do long term? How long would you be in the RV for? What are some additional expenses that would come with living in an RV, such as any RV park fees or campsite fees in which you would have to park that RV? Also think about your time. How would your time management change because you're living in an RV? Such as you're gonna have to go to the grocery store more frequently because you just don't have the space to keep a lot of food in stock on hand. What about laundry? Are you going to a laundromat and spending several hours per week sitting at a laundromat to do that? There's some things like pros and cons. I always make a pros and cons list when I'm thinking about big decisions like this, like pros and cons of RV life, pros and cons of staying in your current house and paying off the debt. 11, how are you guys doing? Man, well, as of today, doing pretty good. We had to make some major decisions about Quinn's childcare, and she got into a daycare recently. And so that decision in of itself was like, I stressed about that a lot as a first-time mom. I'm like, she's going into daycare, what? And that really stressed me out. And also I think too, we're such planners and LA feels very temporary. And so it makes me anxious. Like I just want to get to the house. I just want to leave and, you know, actually settle down, put down roots in Colorado, which is where we are wanting to go. And there's a little bit of nerves to that. But overall, my father-in-law really put it into perspective for me. So shout out to my father-in-law because he was like, you guys have a great setup. This is sweet. You are 10 minutes from the beach, you live in a great, safe community, and it never snows. It's like year-round sunshine, perfect weather. What more can you ask for? I'm like, dang, you're right. I need to enjoy this. Enjoy it while it's here. 12. This actually goes with 11. Do you guys plan on making LA a permanent thing? No, heck no. Kyle even said, he was like, if rent was cheaper or if there was a major housing crash, would you stay? And it's like, for what I want financially and also for our family, I just don't think Southern California can offer what I want. I truly do want the big home with the basement. I can envision us with Quinn and, you know, maybe future baby just all snuggling down in the basement, like a big couch and like doing Christmas movies and having a true home office with a true like YouTube studio setup. Like every single time that I film, this is such first world problems. I completely understand what I'm about to say is just like, oh my God, Justine, really? You're complaining about this? Every time I have to film, I bring out all of my equipment, my entire setup into the kitchen, and then I tear it all down. It would be awesome to have a true YouTube studio where I could decorate it the way that I want, just have the lighting and the tripod out, everything out, so all I had to do is just hit record and it's already done. That would be such a time saver for me and just truly feel like established with my YouTube setup and studio. Anyway, making LA a permanent thing. No, heck no. It's just too expensive for what we want. 13, got any packing tips for moving, planning a big move next year and starting to feel overwhelmed? Okay, for this, I definitely recommend you watch the entire series of the home edit and then implement those tips about editing things, keeping things, donating things. It's such a good thing to do year round, but also right before a move. I also thought about what type of unit or what type of home we would be in before we moved or after we moved. So I'm like, okay, are we truly going to have more space for storage and things like that? It's okay to bring extra Christmas decor, whatever. I also listed a lot of things on Facebook Marketplace, such as I knew we didn't want to have our queen guest bed anymore and that we were trading that in for a smaller day bed with a trundle. So I was okay to get rid of that. So anything that I could put on Facebook Marketplace months in advance was going on there and I was making money in the process. 14, did your financial goals change after having a child? Yes, hands down. So one thing that we actually started for a financial goal for last year was to adjust the budget for childcare expenses. We knew that I was going to be going back to work full-time basically on Debt Free Millennials and that I would need help with Quinn. So we ended up doing a part-time nanny, then we did a full-time nanny, and now we're doing full-time daycare. So we kind of stair-stepped it and we had to adjust the budget in order to take care of that nanny and daycare expense. So that took away from really going hard on other financial goals such as saving for the down payment, especially moving. Moving also kind of goes along the lines of how our financial goals have changed since having a kid. We kind of took this journey of moving anyways because Quinn was born and because we were like, hey, the lifestyle that we want now isn't conducive to our family. Like our family's changed, so now we're going to be changing just our way of living. So yeah, definitely. 15, this last one. Do you guys plan on having another child? I would love to. I would love to on most days. Ask me on a bad day, I'm like, I like one's enough. I've never envisioned myself as like this, you know, stay-at-home mom who wants to be at home with their kids all day. I think because I'm also very career-oriented and I thrive on my work. I get a lot of joy from working on Debt Free Millennials. I think you could have a career and kids and make it all happen. I also want to make sure that my career is reflective of not taking away from my kid and future kid. I want to make sure that I build a business that allows me to pick them up after school, drop them off, or take time out to do a field trip or give them their own days. Like I'd love to do like my brother-in-law and his wife, they do this. They have just like Quinn's Day. So it's a day dedicated to just Quinn and she gets to do whatever she wants to do. And then, you know, for the second baby's day, and you get to do everything with that kid, and it's just individualized attention on them. So I kind of fantasize about that and wanting that kind of lifestyle and balance of career and being a mom. And I think when I'm thinking about having another kid and also the business that I'm building, it's kind of like, how do I make all those pieces fit together so that my work isn't overtaking my time as a mom? I guess my mentality of being a mom isn't taking away from something like my business that truly also gives me joy. Okay. That was our coffee and money talk in a nutshell. Lots of stuff about like families and babies and how your money plays into all that. It's definitely doable. We're doing it, and I hope you continue to follow along on our journey, Kyle and I, and our journey as parents, and also really focusing our money to achieve more financial freedom so that we can give and build that legacy for our daughter and for hopefully a future kid down the road. We'll see. If you like this one, give it a big thumbs up, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.